Hello friends, welcome back. We're going to be doing a different style video today. We're playing Minecraft. We're going to be making us a new world, and essentially what I'm going to be doing is we're going to start a new survival world, and as I'm playing this, I am going to be reading you guys some of the most subpar Reddit stories I think I've ever come across. We are going to name this world Subpar. Hopefully I spelled that correctly. And it looks like we've spawned into a acacia biome. Okay, I guess while I start punching trees and getting some resources gathered up, I will start reading stories to you guys. So if you're just watching to watch me punch trees, that's pretty well all I'm going to be doing today. At the end of the video, we start building a house, and that's about it. The first story coming in tonight starts with, this week I started my 18th year of teaching 7th grade English, and I thought I'd just seen about everything a classroom could emotionally throw at me. I was wrong. 3 days ago, I tried something new. I'd been holding on to it since summer when I stumbled across an old article about helping kids process emotional weight. I almost talked myself out of doing it, because middle schoolers can be dramatic, but they can also be closed off, sarcastic, and guarded. I worried they'd shrug it off, roll their eyes, or worse, turn it into a joke. Instead, they changed my entire outlook on what it means to teach. Here's what happened. We'd barely started the semester. Students were still learning where to sit, still pretending they weren't nervous, still sizing each other up like kids always do in August, deciding who's cool, who's odd, who's loud, who's invisible. That morning, I walked in with an empty backpack slung over my shoulder and set it gently on the desk in the front of the room. I didn't say anything about it at first. I just began class like normal. After attendance, I finally looked up and said, "Who here knows what emotional baggage is?" Hands shot up. Kids were eager to answer, eager to be clever, eager to impress. It's when you're depressed because nobody likes you. It's when you think about sad stuff all the time. It's bad memories you can't forget. Baggage that makes you feel heavy. One boy in the back said softly, "It's like stuff you're not allowed to talk about." That one hit me hard. I nodded my head and said, "Exactly." Then I held up the backpack. And this is what a lot of us look like on the outside. Normal, functional, present. But you have no idea what's on the inside unless you open it up. I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't do the teacher voice. I just said, today we're going to unpack what we carry, and you don't have to do it alone. You could have heard a pin drop. It was so silent. I passed out blank cards. No names, no identifying details, just space. And I told them, write down what feels heavy. It could be something serious. It could be something small. It could be something that no one knows about. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about sounding dramatic. Just write. It took a while. Some kids scribbled instantly, barely looking up. Others stared at the page, frozen. A few stared at me with panic in their eyes, and I just nodded, silently telling them, it's okay, take your time. When we were done, I had them fold the papers and drop them, one by one, into the empty backpack. Then I shook it gently and placed it in the center of the room. This is us, I said. This is our class right now. Some of us are smiling today. Some of us are not. But every single one of us is carrying something, whether we say it out loud or not. Then I asked for some volunteers. One by one, students came to the front, reached into the bag, pulled out a fold of paper, and read it aloud. First, without looking at the writer. Then, if the writer chose to speak, with the writer's voice added in. And then the floodgates opened. I won't betray their privacy by repeating everything, but here's a glimpse of what came out of that backpack. One says, "I don't want to live anymore, but nobody knows because I always smile." Another one says, "I miss my mom. She died on Thanksgiving, but everyone acts happy during the holidays, and I pretend to be too. My dad is in jail. I hate when people talk about their dads. I want to talk to people, but I'm afraid I'll sound stupid every time. My sister is sick, and I don't know how to help it, and it makes me feel useless. My parents fight all the time, and I can't sleep. I feel like the weird kid in every room, and I'm tired of trying. I feel invisible in this school. A few were lighter and even earned a soft laugh, like, my hamster exploded in the microwave. My hamster exploded in the microwave. Rip Marshmallow. But most were heavy, raw, unfiltered. Some students could barely get through reading one without crying. Some stood there trembling. Others stared in disbelief because they had no idea the quiet kid in the corner had been carrying something so big. And every time a student shared, something changed in that classroom. The faces softened. The arms unfolded. The walls got lower. Kids weren't judging anymore. They were listening. Really listening. When we were done reading all 30 slips, the room was quiet, but not in a bad way, not in a scared way. In a we're not alone anymore way. I held up the bag again. I say, this is what we're leaving at the door. You don't have to forget it. You don't have to pretend it doesn't exist, but you don't carry it alone in here. I hung the bag on a hook at the entrance. I did not expect what happened next. As each student walked out of class that day, they touched the bag. Some with a pat, some with a tap of the fingers. One girl just rested her forehead against it for a full second. Like they were saying, this is mine, but it doesn't have to stay heavy. That night, I sat at home, staring at my ceiling, thinking about 12-year-old kids carrying weight that most adults would collapse under, and how just 1 hour of safe space, 1 hour of honesty, helped them breathe a little easier. I showed up to school the next day tired, but ready. As they walked into class, some students whispered, "Thank you for yesterday." One put a sticky note on my desk that said, "I didn't know I could feel safe anywhere. Thank you." Another left a chocolate bar with a note. "I'm still scared, but at least I feel seen now. I've taught for 18 years. I've graded thousands of essays. I've planned hundreds of lessons. I've spent more nights frustrated than I care to admit. But nothing, not one single test score, has ever mattered more than what those kids did in that room." Moral of the story, live a little louder, judge a little less, forgive faster, and for the love of God, check on your kids, even the ones who look fine. Some of them are carrying more than you can imagine. God dang, guys, we started this one off deep. I didn't even, pre-read that before I started. I just raw-dogged it. Alright, let's find another one. I've got another story lined up here, but before I start it, I just played back that clip, and I apologize, guys. I turned my fans down on my computer. Hopefully that helps a little bit, and I apologize for, the banging of my mic. I really need to get an upgraded one. I just haven't made it that far yet. Reddit. What's the weirdest / funniest experience you've had with an ex years after you dated? I'll start. I dated a girl in middle school for a few weeks. Being a middle school relationship, it wasn't particularly meaningful, and though we made it under the stairs a few times, she dumped me for another older guy. She went to a different high school, and then we lost touch. This is gonna be good. Years later, when I was in college and visiting home, I went to a strip club for the very first time. My friend and I got lap dances, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the girl dancing on him looked familiar. By now, you have probably guessed the ending. Yeah, it was her. I said, "I think I know you." "I know you too. We dated in middle school." She said I couldn't call her by her real name at work, insisting that I called her Heaven. We had gone to a Catholic middle school. I got a lap dance from her and gave a big tip. She introduced me to her coworkers, and my friend was stunned. That is insane. Oh, hold on. I found a story here in the comments. I guess let's read this too while we're on the topic. This was from 14 years ago, by the way, guys. This one starts off saying, fresh out of high school, I dated this sex pot of a chick named Amber. Brunette, awesome body, and a good family. In parentheses, I was also friends with her brother. We dated for a little over a year and broke up mutually. Cut to 3 years later. I'm derping away at Facebook when I notice a new message. I click to see what it is, and of course, it's Amber saying hi. I hadn't talked to her for a few years, and we caught up and did the let's hang out sometime thing. On the phone, she was very flirty and even suggested a few things. She wanted my balls again. I got a bit excited to go see her. She mentioned she lived somewhat close by, so a few days later, I headed over to her place. When I got there, we say hello and have an awkward hug at the door. Right away, I smell something strange. She kind of notices me glancing around curiously for a moment and just continues talking and encourages me to come in. As I'm turning the corner, the smell goes from what the frick to human feces in an instant. I follow her in and look over to see a gentleman in a wheelchair at her dinner table. Turns out it was her new boyfriend. The thing she failed to tell me was she got with this guy a few months after we stopped dating, moved into his place, and became his full-time caregiver. He looked like he was in his 30s. After an awkward introduction, I ended up sitting there trying to make chit-chat while pretending I wasn't talking to a guy with a dump in his pants. Then we watched The Crow on VHS. She sent me a text the next day and I answered it. That's insane, dude. Or he never answered it. Sorry, guys. I think this is an absolutely insane story. Just going from that to ending up being a caregiver and you just walk in on that. Like, I would be out the door instantly. Alright, let's move on to the next. So this guy's 24-year-old female girlfriend slept with her ex the day before he asked her to be his girlfriend. Is he stupid for feeling sick about this? Let's start. I, 29 male, recently snooped through my girlfriend's 24 female phone, which I know I shouldn't have done. Lately, I've been feeling emotionally vulnerable and not myself, and I just couldn't resist the urge to look. While scrolling through her photos, I stumbled upon one of her and her ex in bed. The date indicated it was taken the day before I officially asked her to be my girlfriend. We had been seeing each other for about 4 months at that point, regularly messaging and hanging out. I never initiated the exclusive talk because, foolishly, I thought it wasn't necessary. I wasn't sleeping with anybody else because I was putting all my time into her. Upon further investigation, I checked her Instagram messages and discovered that she had sent her ex a sexual message in response to his Instagram story, initiating contact. She even sent him a text saying, "I want you to me so hard that I can't walk." To make matters slightly worse, she left me on red that same day. I understand that technically she hadn't done anything wrong since we weren't officially exclusive at the time. However, it's hard to not feel like the memories we shared before weren't as special as I thought. Despite all this, we have a great relationship, amazing sexual chemistry, and I genuinely love her. We have been official for a little over a year now. But now, my foolish actions have left me feeling paranoid and unsure of the kind of person that she is. Upon further inspection, I noticed she had liked her ex's last 2 Instagram posts as well. Although I can't find much evidence of ongoing communication between them post-relationship, there were a few messages that seemed inconsequential. I am unsure about the frequency of their interactions, especially since she cleared most of her message history after losing her phone. I do recall hearing from one of her friends that someone was upset about her new relationship at the beginning. Am I overthinking this, or do I have a valid reason to feel disappointed? I know I can't confront her without admitting that I broke her trust by looking through her phone, so I'm feeling lost. Any thoughts or advice would be appreciated, internet friends. honestly, I feel like this is a valid take, guys. So, Homeboy put all of his time and energy into it even before they were exclusive. And, like, I don't know how I want to say this, because, like, she was still kind of fooling around before they were exclusive. So, like, there's two sides to the story, obviously. But I think bro has a valid reason to feel paranoid. And, that can cause some trust issues. I get that. But, as long as they're happy now and there's no communication going on between her and the ex right now, I don't think there's anything for him to worry about. I think all is good in the hood. So that's that story. Let's move on to the next. We got a couple more for you tonight. So this is a thread with some different comments. I'm going to read this comment story. The title of the sub is, "What's some crazy childhood stories that you have?" This one says, "Considering it's Halloween week next week, I'll share this." This is from like a year ago. So it starts off by saying, 7th grade, Bob and I go trick-or-treating. It's rainy, so our parents are basically thinking if you want to go, then go. So we go. There's barely anyone out getting candy, so we're getting loads of all the good stuff. Snickers, Hershey's, Reese's. We would go to the local town bars, and all the guys belly up at the bar would give us 50 cents or $1 each. It was a great night. We were almost done for the night, going house to house, and we get to a front door and ring the doorbell. About 10 seconds pass before a large dude, dressed in what I now understand to be a gimp outfit and wearing a ball gag, answers the door. He doesn't talk. I mean, he can't, but he's totally quiet. He has some weird laser pointer and backs up from the door and points towards the inside of his house. I don't have street smarts, and I don't mind free candy, but something about this creeps me out. Bob, on the other hand, is like, cool, and jaunts right in. Gimp Man stares at me for a few seconds before... Gimp Man stares at me for a few seconds, like I'm the weirdo, before I follow Bob inside. The door closes behind me. In the living room, there's a sad, old faded couch with no TV, 2 cardboard cutouts of celebrities. One was Marilyn Monroe, and the other was Freddy Krueger, both wrapped in twinkling Christmas lights and a small bowl of candy between them on the couch. Remember that honey candy? It was like taffy? Whatever the heck it was, that was the candy he was offering up. Because of course, this dude is offering up old lady candy. Gimp Man stares at us. Bob looks at me thinking this might have been a mistake. We both take a single piece of candy, look at each other, and run the frick out of there. Knowing that feeling of being chased by a monster when you're running up the stairs of your basement, yeah, it was kind of like that. Bob got to the door first, so it's me and my... Bob got to the door first, so it's me and my virginal young ass between my best friend, and Bob fumbles around and opens the door and bolts out of there. We ran back to Bob's grandparents and chilled for the night after that. To this day, I see Bob time to time and still think, what the hell was all that about? That's insane, dude. Imagine, like, I don't have any crazy trick-or-treating candy. I don't have any crazy trick-or-treating stories just because, like, I grew up in a small town of, like, 400 people. So, like, everybody knows everybody. So, that, just hearing some stuff like this is absolutely insane. Alright, moving on to the next. I'm going to try to squeeze in one more for you guys tonight. Okay, guys, this is our last story of the night. It's another thread, and it says, employers of Reddit, what are your craziest employee stories? So we're going to start with this one. It's from 13 years ago. And it starts with, worked out a new Fry's that opened in my old town a number of years back. It was pretty bad initially, and they really overworked the employees. The turnover was huge, and later a lawsuit was filed against a specific Fry's. In any case, when I started, there was a blonde woman who I forgot her name by now, but let's call her Beth. Beth was overly enthusiastic to the point of being incredibly annoying to any and every employee/customer. Beth was apparently also a pathological liar and frequently left her shifts early to do God knows what. When she was fired, she came back with a nice purple present, all wrapped up with a white bow and everything. It was meant to be an apology to the manager, but she quickly dropped it off and took off saying she was busy. It smelled like it had been doused in a gallon of perfume, but she seemed half crazed, so whatever. The manager for her department at the time took it and opened it near the registers. Inside was a lump of shit. She went number 2 in a box and gave it to her manager. As a gift, of course. We've got 2 edits on this. Edit number 1 says, I should clarify that the box was not large, half a foot length and width-wise. There was no smearing or smudging along the box. It was about as neat as you can make a turd in a box. Edit 2. It's an odd... Oh, anyways, that's something completely different. I feel like I can give you guys just one more story on the same topic here. Oh, this is some blue-collar stuff. This ought to be good. This is from 13 years ago, and it starts with, we own a salvage yard. You know, a junkyard. And usually, we have a few cats around. Every now and then, one of these cats will claim us and live in the office. We feed it, take it to the vet, and it becomes our junkyard pet cat. One particular cat was awesome, and all of the guys loved this cat, even the burly guys. They would all share their lunches with the cat. This one guy that used to work for us was a real asshole. One day, he decided that he didn't like the cat anymore. He took a can of spray paint and painted the poor kitty. Oh my goodness. All over, head to tail. When the cat came into the office, my husband, who was the boss, went ballistic. Honestly, same twin, that is frickin' terrible thing to do. Why would you paint a cat? The first thing my husband did was wash the cat off as best as he could. Then he went into the shop and raised holy hell, screaming at everyone until a new guy finally told him that he saw Jim spray paint the cat. My husband was raging and really wanted to this guy up bad, but instead called the cops and filed animal cruelty charges and fired him on the spot. This guy had the balls to file for unemployment for unlawful termination. He was denied several times but kept opposing the judgment. We fought his argument all the way to the highest level of state review, where he was granted full unemployment benefits. The reason was, even though he broke the law while at work, it doesn't, in parentheses, didn't, state in our handbook no spray painting of cats or no unlawful activities at the workplace. We thought that would have been a given. The guy finally got his, though, kind of. He's serving a year in jail for fleeing from the police while drunk. The cat lived for several more years. Oh, that's good to hear. One guy would always come in on a Sunday to feed her and found her dead. Oh. Okay. She had died in her sleep in the box with blankets that they kept for her. That is insane, dude. Why would you spray paint a cat? That is just cruel, man. But anyways, I think that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for sticking around with me for the past 25 minutes or so now. If you guys like this kind of series, please let me know down in the comments, or even, consider hitting the like and subscribe button. That would mean a lot to me. And I'd love to keep doing stuff like this, and not even just while I play Minecraft. There's all kinds of other games I would be more than happy to play and read these stories to you guys. If you found it relaxing, please be sure to let me know. But that's going to do it for tonight. I hope you guys sleep great. Goodbye.